What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Ryan Rice. On this episode, I want to talk to you guys about Bates Fishing Company reels. We switched after about 7-8 years. We switched over to their reels, and we're going to cover that right after this. So first of all, I want to say that I used to use Shimano primarily. I was Daiwa for about, 20 years. Then I switched to Shimano for about 10 years. Now, the reason why I switched to Bates Fishing Company is I had no problems with those other companies, but I always like trying something new. And I think it was just time for us to change. And I like promoting new products, new companies, and new innovations. And the reason why we changed from Shimano and Daiwa is because Bates Fishing Company, this is the Hundo, and this is the Goat 150. These are our two reels that we use for bait casting. The main reason why we change is because these reels are made from stock aluminum. You can go to their website, you can see how they CNC these things, but this is basically a one piece of aluminum from this reel. So that gives you basically a lot of rigidity to these reels. There's no flex. All the parts are metal. Even the drag wheel on here is metal. And I've had about 2 full days on the water with these. So this is my initial review of these. I'm going to review these later on after, 6 months, a year. If I have any problems with them, I'll bring it to your attention. But these are made out of one piece aluminum, which is really, really awesome to us because we used to use other reels for our saltwater, which we still have, our Siegler reels. And same thing, they're made out of aluminum. They're CNC'd right here in America, and it's just awesome. Not technology, but it's just an awesome concept to these reels because it just makes them a lot more rugged. It keeps them from flexing because all my other reels, when I'm really leaning into a fish and I'm really squeezing down on the reel when I'm fighting a big one, I could feel the flex. They never broke. They have always held up, but it was just time for us to change. And like I said, I've been on the water with these now for about 2 full days. And when I first got the goats and had it in my hand, this was the first reel I got. I really liked the way it felt in my hand, but it didn't feel oversized. This is the Goats 150. So it's about the same size as my previous reels. This is the Hundo. So this is a 100 size. So I was a little skeptical, a little iffy about ordering these, but I ended up ordering 2 anyway, just because it gets good reviews. And I also spoke to somebody that has these already, and he's got big hands. So I was really concerned about when I got this, that it was going to be too small. And when I first picked it up out of the box, I'm like, wow, this thing's like micro. And it worried me a little bit that it was going to be too small on my rods. But when I put it on my rods and I actually fished with it, when it's on the rod, it's a weird feeling. Like when it's in your hand, it feels small. But when it's on the rod, it doesn't feel small. But when you grab between the two, you can feel the difference. But to be honest with you, I love the Goats 150, but the Hundo is absolutely amazing feeling in your hand. If I buy more of these down the line from them, I'm going to be buying all the Hundos. But I do have 2 of these as well, and they are good too. There's nothing wrong with the Goats. I do like the way this one feels in my hand when it's on the rod. When it's out, when it's not on the rod, I'm like, wow, it's super small. There's no problems with it being that small when it's on the rod. It fits comfortable in my hand. It's a lot easier to cast than the actual Goat. The Goat, I'm going to primarily use these for probably my heavy jigging, my Texas rigging, probably spinner baits, larger spinner baits I'm going to be throwing on this, swim baits, all that type of stuff I'm going to use the Goats. Now, it's not like, I grab this one and I grab this one and I absolutely hate the Goat. It's just that this one is a lot more comfortable for doing like 1,000 casts in one day. And I'm going to get into a little bit of detail about each of these reels. So the Hundo, even though it's super small, it has 14 pounds of drag. And you can hear everything has a click to it, including your little adjustment knob on the side. Everything has a click. And then you have your magnetic braking adjustment on the outside. Then there's also an internal braking setting, which I'm probably never going to play with, but there is videos out there how to adjust that. I have that set at stock, and I'm doing all my adjustment on the outside and on my little, on my reel here, my reel tensioner, or the spool tensioner, sorry. So between those two, after using them, I got everything dialed in just fine. Now, every time I change a bait, obviously I play with the spool tensioner a little bit. I just let it come down slowly out of my rod. Just when it touches the water, it stops. And this right here, basically, I have the magnetic set about 5 for now. I do loosen it up every now and then as I'm casting to get a little bit more distance. But the one good thing about the Hundo is that you can throw super finesse baits on this, but I have been throwing a lot of heavier baits on this, and it's been dealing with it just fine. But I also threw Cinco on this the other day. I was like, let me try it, with a Cinco, because usually I throw my Cinco on a spinning rod. But I threw it on this, and I had no problem. Another cool thing, too, is even the drag has a click to it. It's almost like having a spinning reel in a bait caster. I've never experienced that before. There may be other reels out there I've never had in my hand that actually has a click for the drag too. When you start, hearing that fish go out, you basically have a built-in clicker like you do on your saltwater reels. And that's a nice concept, because when you're fighting that fish and you're reeling it and you hear that, you're like, oh, I got to tighten up a little bit more. So that gives you that audible click saying that you're a little bit too loose on your drag so you don't lose that fish. A lot of times I can't tell you how many times I've lost fish because I forgot to, check my drag before I was doing my cast, or I might have loosened it the previous time and forgot to tighten it back up. So it gives you that audible click to make sure that you're not too loose and lose that fish. I've lost a lot of fish with my drag being loose. And if you follow me, you've seen some of my videos where that was the reason why I lost my fish. Now the goat has audible click on all their things too, the spool tensioner and everything, but not on the drag. So it's a non-clicking drag. No big deal, because this goat has 20 pounds of drag. So even if you just go like four or five clicks, it's already like super tight already as far as the drag. It doesn't take much to tighten down on that drag. That's it. Like I only go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's like a good setting already. And that's probably about halfway, but I'm sure if you really, really tighten down on this, you could have some big stripers on this and everything. And as long as your line is strong enough, you could really tighten down on this drag and fight some really big fish. Now, I'm not going to take them apart. You can check a lot of other videos on that, but so far for the initial review, I'm extremely happy with both of these reels. I love the goats. I love the cork feel to the knobs. These are more of a rubber knob, and I kind of like the cork, just like I do on my rods. I like the cork feel. Now, longevity, we'll see how long the cork handles hold up over the rubber. I'm sure the rubber will hold out longer, but who knows? I might not have no problems with these handles. I mean, with the thumb part of the handle of it wearing out because it is cork. But I love the softness of the cork on this, so it's a really comfortable reel to use as well. But the Hundo is amazingly so much more comfortable in my hand for a lot of casts. This is not horrible, but when you have both of them right in front of you, I could throw this all day without being tired. And on top of it, this thing's only like 5.3 ounces or something. Don't hold me to the number. I don't have it in front of me, but it's extremely, extremely light. I think this is like 7.5, maybe, the goats. But you can look up all the details. I just want to do initial review. And I'm going to show you both of these on the rod too. You might not be able to pick up in the camera, but there is not a substantial difference in size, but there is quite a bit of difference in size when it's in your hand. The camera's probably not picking it up. Like I said, this is a 100 size. This is a 150 size. I've seen a lot of people comment already, oh, can you make a 150 size? I'm telling you, I got big hands. You do not need to go up in size with this at all. Not unless you want to have a little bit deeper of a spool and have a little bit more line capacity. But if you're fighting something that big that you need that much line capacity, just use the goats. I'm loving these so far. There's no flex. The warranty on them are great. It's been great so far. I mean, I know I've only been out 2 times with these, but I'm loving them, and I look forward to what they're coming out with in the future, because I'm sure they will. They also have spinning reels, but on their website, they were being sold out. So I don't know if they're going to stop producing them. I haven't really asked them about that. If they're going to come out with spinning, new spinning reels in the future, are they going to do anything else? But I'm sure they're going to keep innovating with the reels and making different sizes, etc. They also have the salty 150s. They got, it's a little bit more probably, it's obviously made for salt water, but it's must have a little bit more corrosion resistance to it. But be honest with you, All my reels that when I go saltwater fishing, I've always used my bass reels unless I'm doing heavy jigging or whatever. But I just rinse everything off, a little bit of soap and water, and that's it. I've never had a problem with any of my reels with the salt. So these will be great for when I go for redfish. I'm even going to use the Hundo for red fishing, to be honest with you. I know I have confidence in it that it's not going to be a problem, because 14 pounds of drags when I'm doing inshore fishing, now say catch a 50 pounder, I know I can still bring it in on the Hundo, but this will be when I throw like very finesse baits for those finicky redfish. But I'll primarily probably use the goats more or less when I'm using my larger tackle. So let's get these on the rods. I want to show you both these reels on the rods and how you can see them. All right, so these are on the rods now. My right is the Hundo on the rod, and my left is the Goats 150. I don't know if the camera really shows the difference in size. Probably hard to tell, but the Hundo is a lot, as I'm hitting the rods, is a lot smaller, but not a lot smaller, if that makes sense. But it is a lot smaller feeling in your hand and a lot more comfortable for a lot of casting for the day. Like I said, I've had no problems with any of my other reels, but now that I've switched to baits, I don't see myself using anything else in the future. Now, unless they go out of business and I break all my reels and I don't have them anymore, but I will definitely be sticking with baits. They are being sold all over the internet. There's a lot of videos out there from baits, from other people. Not a lot of super review videos that you could find, but I'm sure they'll change as they're getting out there. The main reason for changing is because of the solid aluminum construction and not having any flex. And I always like to promote new stuff, smaller companies, watch them build, because you always got to start somewhere. And if you come out with a product that's better than anything else on the market, everybody's going to have their own opinion about reels and rods. To me, they are a better product than what's out there on the market now, just because of their construction. There's a lot of great technology out there on the market now. I like simplicity. I like simplicity with my trucks. That's why I actually went back to an even simpler truck than I've had before. I just like simplicity because to me, simplicity works. I don't need gadgets, fads, any of that stuff. I just want simplicity that I know that I'm going to invest in these reels and I'll probably never have to replace them. If there's ever an issue with them, I know for a fact if I reach out to baits, it will get taken care of. This is my initial review. Like I said, 2 days on the water with them, 2 full days on the water with them. Not just like a quick little 2-hour trip. And I probably have well over 1,000 casts on both of these reels already. And as far as the braking systems, until I got the initial setup done, yes, I had some backlashes. It's a big difference from the Shimano DCs, which you can pretty much set and forget for the most part. These are back to being a little bit more old school, but the braking system on them, especially the Hundo, is phenomenal for being a different braking system in general. They work very well. Like I said, I got them both adjusted now. I was out in wind the other day and I had a few more backlashes on the goats because I was casting into the wind and really trying to whip it, and that's my fault without having my finger on the spool. But once you adjust these and the more you play with them, you should not have any backlashes unless you're really forcing it out into the wind. But they've been great so far, and I really, really like them. So I didn't go into a lot of the specifications of these, but Hundo is $375. The Goat is a $300 reel. You can say that they're pricey, but they are definitely worth it because compared to my Shimanos, I was paying like $280 per reel. The Hundo is worth the money, and so is the Goats. It all depends what you want. I say that you need both depending on what you plan on throwing. Big swim baits and everything. Big jigs, big spinner baits. I like the Goats 150. Pretty much everything else, my crankbaits, jerk baits, salt plastics, I've been using the Hundo. So I'm sure I'll be throwing everything on both of them, but they've been awesome so far. I love the click on all the drag settings, all the spool tensioner, and even the audible click on the drag on the Hundo. Maybe they will do that as well on the Goats down the line, because I think a lot of people like that audible click so they know that their drag is too loose, and that helps you prevent losing fish, or if you're trolling. you have that audible click just like you do when you have a clicker set on your saltwater reel. So real quick, 14-pound drag, 20-pound drag, super, super strong with the aluminum one-piece construction. Very durable already. I know it's only been a few trips out, but I can tell these reels are last me for forever. I'm sure I'll add more to my arsenal. Maybe they'll add some spinning reels. If they do add more spinning reels or bring the other ones back, I'm sure I'll buy those too and change out everything to baits. And hopefully they don't go out of business ever and I can continue using them the rest of my life. So look into these reels. I think if you try one and you put it in your hand, you'll absolutely love it and want to change all your reels to them. I can promise you that. I'm not BSing you because I don't BS people. Once again, everything that people talk about on YouTube and products is all personal opinion. You may like your reels that you have now and don't want to change, but I just want to get these out there and show you. If you haven't seen Bates Fishing Company yet, you can look them up at Bates Fishing Co. I'll drop a link in the description and check them out for yourself and just do some research. I think you'll like them. You'll really appreciate that one-piece construction. I mean, obviously the whole reel is not one piece, but that one-piece main housing construction, and you'll feel that durability and that rigidity in your hand when you have it. When you squeeze down on it, there's no flex. The handles are metal. The drag knobs are metal. Everything is pretty much metal. I don't know if there's any plastic. I'm sure there may be some plastic on the inside for certain things, but it's an pretty much all metal construction reel. So I'll stop talking and let you guys go. As always, guys, I appreciate all of you stopping by. Be safe on the water, and I'll catch you on the water. See you soon.